South French Gypsy, and it's been in the family for a long time. We all read it a little different. The way it works for
Just real
me,
quick.
that I understand is cards represent archetypes. They represent images that are universal across social, cultural lines.
Let me turn my, I'm sorry, let me
Yeah, feel free.
turn my phone.
Social, cultural lines. They're universal to people everywhere. I read with the Major Arcana, which are the cards that we're most familiar with in terms of the Fool, the Devil, the Star, things like that. What we're going to do is we're going to do a 3-card spread with the Major Arcana. I'm going to ask you to ask a question. You can keep your question to yourself, or you can ask it to me directly. Obviously, it will be much easier for me to interpret the images and the cards if you tell me, but you can also keep it to yourself. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of people, if you're familiar with this stuff, do cold reading, where they read the person. They don't read the cards. They tell you what you want to hear. They gauge your reaction. They don't try and read anything from this. It's all about gaining confidence or gaining money. As such, I'm going to read the cards, and what I say might be poignant. It may be completely irrelevant to you, but I won't sugarcoat it. Also, when I read cards, I require something in return. Now, I actually don't prefer money. I prefer something else. It's up to you to decide what that is. You can give it to me at the end of this. It can be a thing, it can be an idea, it can be an act. I require something from you though, and that's up to you. What hand do you use as your dominant hand?
The right hand.
All right, so do you have a question?
Yes.
Do you want to tell me your question? You can keep it to yourself, I'm fine with that.
You gotta keep it to myself.
Absolutely. With your left hand then, I'm going to ask you to take the card. Oh, before we do that, would you touch one of these objects? You can touch 2 or 3 or all of them, but touch at least one. Okay. With your left hand, take the cards from me, and I want you to put them in a state of chaos on the table. Don't look at them, but spread them around with your left hand. What's happening now, as I understand it, is the question in your mind is being transferred through your left hand, which is your unconscious hand. Your subconscious mind is condensing the possibilities of the cards, because when we read cards, we're condensing the possibilities of which of these images can be shown. When you feel they're in a state of disarray, bring them together on the table. You can use both hands. Still think of your question in your mind. When they're in one pile, again with your left hand, I want you to spread them out, fan them out on the table like you'd see a magician do in a card show. Fan them on the table. The first card you're going to pull is going to represent the aspect of your question in the past. The second card you pull is going to represent the aspect of your question in the present. The third is going to represent the aspect of your question in the future, the answer to your question, perhaps. You can place the cards in front of yourself or in front of me, whichever you choose, and you can choose which position they would like to be in. If you place them in front of me, the card here, or place them in front of either one of us. The card here is going to be in the past, this is the present, this is the future. So go ahead and pick those cards. Please don't turn them over yet, though. Just keep them face down. All right. Now, orientation when you're reading tarot cards matters. If a card is flipped upwards, the image is facing the reader, then it means one thing. If the image is inverse, it often means the opposite. Knowing that, I would like you to choose which way the image will be facing. If there's a name on the card, like the magician perhaps, if you have it facing me and the magician is facing this way, the card is the correct way. If you have it facing me and the magician is on the bottom, it's the inverse. It has a different meaning to it. Which way would you like the cards to be read, facing yourself or myself?
So if it's facing me, it means something that...
Depending upon which orientation it is.
You could face it towards me.
Okay. Knowing that, would you like to flip the orientation of any of these cards now at this point? I may consult my book here at some point just to get some of the elements
Okay.
associated with these. Would you please flip over the card representing the past? Judgment. And this card is judgment. But it's facing you, it's not facing me. If this card, I feel like this card represents you, whatever this question is. I wasn't sure at first, but now I do. There's something in your past that needs forgiveness. That's the strong feeling I get. There is an act that you require forgiveness for, that you may not have forgiven yourself for yet. But it's a card of forgiveness. It's a card of judgment. You feel judged, and I think you have judged yourself for whatever this was in relationship to your question. Whether it's a direction you should have gone in, or something that happened, or someone that you're thinking about. There's been a judgment associated with this, and forgiveness needs to be given either to yourself or to another person, if it relates to another person. The imagery that jumps out to me are the four figures here, bequeathing the seraphim there for judgment, for being spared, for forgiveness. They're prostrating themselves on the ground and asking for divine judgment not to come down upon them. I don't know if that means anything to you, those ideas of divine judgment and those themes or relationships to your question, but those four figures, and I feel like that possibly means it means other people had asked you for this, or asked you to give yourself forgiveness in relationship to this, or asked you not to judge yourself so harshly in this. And you have seemed, if it's relating to you, you have separated yourself and you're partitioned yourself away from this forgiveness. If it's from forgiveness from another person, they feel like you've been aloof in this aspect in the past. Can you please flip over the present card? The Empress, facing you. This is a card of mustering resources, of intellectual togetherness, of mastership and ownership, but also a tenderness. This is sometimes, people refer to this as a monetary card. I don't get that at all. I feel like the important image here, and I keep having this with this deck jump out at me, not for everybody, but a few times lately, is the shield. It's a blocker, and there's a darkness, there's something that's preventing you from having this beneficial, harmonious energy. The shield is literally preventing you from it. That black eagle on there is literally holding you away from it. The sun on there represents the sun of enlightenment when it comes to this issue. I think part of what might be blocking you is the forgiveness that is being asked for in this past card. If this is relating to money, that is definitely something that needs to happen. I don't feel like this is a money card. That isn't what jumped out at me immediately. I don't feel like this says the question has something to do with money at all. I feel like it has to do more, definitely forgiveness keeps popping out at me. But there's a definitive block that's preventing this harmonious conjunction of energy that should be occurring right now. I almost feel like this card should be inversed. I get a real strong feeling that it should be inversed now, because this is more of a beneficial card in the present, but that's not the feeling I'm getting from this. Absolutely not. Would you please flip the future? The Tower. The Tower is a card that represents the accumulation of knowledge, almost to the height, to the point at which it topples. You can see the iconography on the card is very tumultuous. It's thunderbolts from on high, it's fires from below. It is the precipice of something. It is accumulated knowledge that you have built up that is threatening to fall. The tower has not fallen in this image. If you cannot get over this block, however, when it comes to your question, have that harmonious conjunction of energy. If forgiveness cannot be found, this tower will fall. The things you have tried to build in the aspect of this question will come crumbling down. There is a break in the tower in the middle, which is the weak point in the tower in this card. There's something you've built in your ideas or your knowledge or the way you've thought about this thing, and it's at the very heart of what you feel is what you know. There's actually where you're weakest when it comes to this. And I urge you to reassess that and forgive what needs to be forgiven in order to get over this block so things don't come down. That's what I got.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know if that was pertinent to you, but that's what I
That was
felt.
very interesting.
Gonna give him some, John?
Yeah. I'll give you a thank you. I want to give you a thank you. I'm going to give you this pin here.
Don't pinch yourself.
I've had worse.
Pink Gary.
Gonna break blood.
Gary, what's Pink Gary?
My group, Decay Devils, is a photography group. A group of abandoned explorers or photographers. We go on abandoned places and photograph and stuff. But anyways, we have this thing called the Union Station that we renovated through what do you call it? Donations and stuff from the Legacy Foundation. And you know how Gary is really had a downfall.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
one of the buildings is the train depot Union Station,
Familiar
and
with
we
that
restored
building.
it.
Yeah.
So my group, the Decay Devils, we restored that building, and it's beautiful. But we're working on the whole city is like art. You know, we have art coming like popping up. We have artists come out and build the walls and stuff. I mean, paint the walls and stuff to make it look beautiful. You know, with art, the city with art. It's kind of like Detroit.
It's a good endeavor to have in that place. It's a much more beautiful place than people give it credit for.
The lady who gave that to me actually sets all that up, and her name is Lauren. She gave me a pin.